Preparing to live stream. We are preparing to live stream. I don't know if you guys can see me because I can't see you right now.
Mine says we are live streaming. Oh, now you're hiding on me?
Did we do it? Live chat?
I'm guessing so.
Yeah, it's just not. It's just called Genevieve Zoom meeting. Hydro Hustlers. I'm sure I can change that.
Is it
okay,
under?
So I'm gonna look on my oh, there's people in here. I'm sorry, I gotta look on my YouTube just to see if we're actually live. I assume we are because there's people here.
There are 12 people watching us. Hi everyone.
Hi everyone. It is actually the Hydro Hustlers, but we're coming in as Genevieve Eats Weeds crew. Our Zoom meeting, which I'm gonna try and change that. Oh yeah, it's showing us live. So where's Alki?
I'm right here filling a bowl.
Okay, I gotta go back to the Zoom and I need to change.
We're running right now. You don't have to change anything.
I don't have to change anything? Okay.
No, we're going live on. Sorry guys, it's our first time doing it by ourselves. We're a little bit.
We're technically, well, I'm technically challenged and I seem to be in charge right now, so bear with me. Okay, back into
and there's
YouTube.
Man with Legend Spartan in the chat.
Yeah, I see Spartan here.
Yay!
It's been a while since we've been here. We apologize for the break.
Okay, so I don't know what I'm doing here on the production side. I feel, how do I, done. Okay, I'm back in. I can see us again. I couldn't see us. I was like watching the YouTube and it's lagging. So you guys are watching us on Zoom right now, right? Correct?
I have both up at the moment.
You're both up? Okay, I'm gonna put both up too. So that way I can follow along with the chat, which is what I was planning on doing by being on my phone with the headphones, and then I was gonna use my iPad to chat, but it's just not working out how we planned.
So tell me, Casey, you're growing in cocoa now, right? Since moving
Yes, sir.
home.
I always grow in cocoa. I've grown in cocoa for 10, 12 years. I've been in cocoa.
But you have some experience with Pro Mix as well. Which,
yes, sir. I've used Cocoa Mix because they do have a cocoa mix. The last time I used Pro Mix was probably 12 years ago, somewhere in there.
I'm not familiar with Pro Mix over here, but maybe you can tell me a little bit about how Pro Mix compares to other mediums in soil.
Pro Mix, the biggest thing about that is they come in bigger bales. So it'll be at least 4 cubic foot bag versus like the 50-liter bags that I'm sure you get over there. So they're a little bit bigger. They're bales. It's usually compressed. They'll mix their perlite in, and usually they mix some type of mycorrhizae or something like that in there.
All right, so it's a soilless medium with perlite and peat.
And peat, yes.
Yeah.
I almost forgot the peat part. But they do have just a cocoa mix also.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not steering away from cocoa anytime soon, but when I will, maybe I'll try out rock wool. I don't know.
Yeah, I've done the rock wool. Can was really big on rock wool, but I've just never had success with rock wool.
Okay, what is it the way the medium soaks, or?
Back when I tried it, I didn't really know about how you had to pre-soak it, flush it out, all that. So it was more throw it in here. I burnt the hell out of a few plants and said, screw this, I'm going back to cocoa.
Okay, I'll write that down.
I just like cocoa. It's easy.
Yeah, it's very clean. I mean, when I first started out, I had some random things happening to the plants where you were just starting out. I mean,
Oh,
and then
needed.
at some point you have a little leaf that have a little defect or a wrong color or whatever. And
And that's
usually,
why I like the cocoa so much, is you can see it so soon.
yeah, exactly.
I
There's
mean, you
no
can see it within a
unknown.
moderator.
I left you guys again because I was going to try and rename this to Hydra Hustlers, but I'll figure that out after.
No worries.
Sure.
We're learning tonight, and it's been a while, so why not get back on track like we used to be?
Yeah, okay. Now that
No, I'm just saying on
I
track, like,
am fully
you just-
attentive now, let's introduce ourselves. I would like to go last. Maybe I'll host tonight. How about that? I would love to hear more from you. I've been doing a lot of podcasty sort of girl show things lately, and I'm here to learn, and I got questions. So I'm going to monitor the chat, and I'm going to ask some questions, I think, if you guys are cool with that. But first, let's do introductions.
Okay. I'll
Start with Honey Bear Casey.
I'm honeybear_Casey on Instagram. I'm a Michigan caregiver. Currently, we have 72 plants in the house. That's what we're allowed here in the state of Michigan. And I take care of that daily. I love taking care of my patients. They mean the world to us. They're part of our family. And right now, I'm on a pheno hunt of all pheno hunts. It's been a lot of fun. So I'm on Instagram. I apologize for not posting daily. I get yelled at for not doing it, and I need to get better at it, not posting daily, to start posting daily. But I've been doing random nug shots of everything I'm running through at the moment. So as you guys saw, it's a fun list that I'm working on.
Yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful genetics list. Very
And I have
cool.
no problem.
And 72 plants, that's a lot of work.
And I do it basically by myself. I get a little bit of help from the wife. She helps me spraying and stuff like that.
Nice.
Other than that, I trim it myself. I take care of them at night myself. It's on me. And I love it. I love the plant.
Well, it shows in your beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pictures.
Yeah. People usually don't say that.
Okay. All the way from Denmark.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
you
but
can just-
before I did mention that each one of us is from a different country, which is super neato.
Casey, the US, me, Denmark, and you, Canada, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I'm damn near Canada where I'm at in the US, but
Representing our countries, representing Denmark.
Okay. Well, I'm Alki. I'm a home grower from Denmark, and yeah, what do I love? I've grown in soil, I've grown in cocoa, but grown to like cocoa a lot. So I've been having a lot of grows, and I've been mostly experimenting with nutrients, and mostly due to trial and error. I mean, I've developed a little bit things to ease my way into adapting. So I just picked some general fertilizer on A and B 2-part, and then I tried to make sense of it in a spreadsheet. And since then I've done some extensions to it, but it started out initially as just milliliters and total milliliters, and then a combined NPK at the bottom. And then I figured out that you could essentially replace. So if you have a PK or bloom booster, then you can compare the numbers and you can see exactly what inputs you're getting, or how much percentage you have of each element in one drop of nudes. So I found that highly valuable to get by with a lot of cheap nutrients. And then I made a partnership with Playground, who is a Dutch company, and they make a very simple A and B formula where you just add the PK on top. And they also are wholesaler of cocoa and nutrients. Most basic, the basic foundation for a grow,
nice. So do they help you with micro and macronutrients also then? Or how do you come about adding those? Sorry for jumping in right.
No problem. Well, they are in the B bottle. So you have a A with NPK, and then you have a B with CalMag and trace minerals. So you just keep them equal, more or less, until the end of flower, you know. I mean, you don't even have to wait a lot before you skimp it up to, or increase it up to 3 milliliters. You just need a few notes. So, and then from there, you just add your PK. And Playground is also very, what should I say, conservative in their PK application. The schedule says week 4+. I think I could do it 3, you know, if I wanted to. Maybe some strains also a little bit early with the frost and the pistils. So as an individual judgment there. But yeah, I've tried different PK fertilizers, and mainly the PK 918 and the 1314. So I stick mainly to the standardized nutrients or the standardized formulas. So I can recreate that result on any other brand if I were to switch, you know. So yeah, that's also brought me issues, you know. Since it's just trial and error, it's just my own. I just sacrifice my own. I just say, okay, I want to see what is the limit for potassium, and then I just go and try it, you know. So sometimes I get a burn, but then I know next time, okay, you probably don't want more than 0.2, 0.3, you know, in the first week 3 or 4 when you start your PK application.
You do a lot of experimenting over there.
Yeah, but mostly because I'm very interested in it, and I don't mind. I'm not in it for the yields. I've never been in it for the yields.
We have that in common.
I only consider myself, and I'm, you know, yeah. So there's no need, and it's the same way. I try to figure out defoliation and pruning and why people are doing this. What I concluded in the end was that I think that everything is down to the osmotic pressure being redirected. So maybe people perceive extra yields as just being new shoots that grow out because you remove fan leaves, and then there's some osmotic pressure in excess, and it goes through the shoots because that's the natural way of expansion. It will regrow the leaves it just had, but it will make 2 new bud sites. So
I mean, that's a great point, and that explains VPD perfectly. Just in a little different term.
How are you finding the VPD correlation with this?
Osmotic pressure.
That's. I kind of compare it to sweating, you know.
Yeah, exactly. The plants are the same way. It's airflow. It's. I'm trying to think of the correct words here. Yeah, it's.
In the winter, you gotta take that into consideration, and then, you know, put some wet towels in there. You know, it'll basically be low the whole winter through. And when you're starting out, you don't have a lot of transpiration, so you've got to add in some moisture there. And since our water here is hard, I don't bother buying a humidifier, honestly, because I'd much rather just use a bucket or several buckets, and then have a towel wicking in there, maybe a fan blowing on it, and then get that VPD out of the red zone.
So what do you consider the red zone?
What did you say?
What do you consider the red zone? You said keep it out of the red zone.
Oh, well, I think the general recommendation of 60% or above, at least, is a great recommendation, as long as you take the lights out humidity into account. But yeah, I think the generic recommendation of 60, 70 is pretty good advice at daytime or when the lights are on.
Exactly. And make sure you get that gun when them lights go off, though.
Yeah, that's a little bit more tricky, especially if you have it just in a room, no ventilation, nothing. I mean, it's just some people in Denmark. They also have sophisticated grows. I mean, some people are even doing closed grows, right? Where they supplement CO2 and stuff. So people are doing it, but it's all hush hush, right?
Yep. It's always been hush hush there. It's the growers they went after and the ones that were transporting it to the coffee shops, right? Those were always the ones that were under the target.
Yep, that's still a backdoor problem in Holland as well. But yeah,
that's why I never went to your beautiful country. I would love to go there, see all the agriculture going on in that country, but it's just the way they treat the supply chain just never agreed with me. It's that and flying over.
Before we go down any rabbit holes, I'm just
we already went there.
I know. I'm just gonna finish the introductions and let you guys roll out. Start with a question. Alki, did you feel introduced enough? Was that good?
Yeah, definitely,
okay.
Definitely.
I'm just
need
gonna
some more
quickly say
attention
who
now.
I am. Okay. Miss Nudie Grows. You can find me over on Instagram as at Miss Nudie Grows. Here on YouTube, right now I'm going through Cheap Home Grow, which I am just using for Hydro Hustlers. Sneak in, sneak out. But you can find me over. Genevieve Eats Weed is my YouTube channel. And I got some old school tutorials that I'm planning on upgrading this next year, but they'll get the job done if you want to check some of them out. And I am super excited to get Hydro Hustlers back up and running. I'm going to actually invest into something to start recording them also, because I get a lot of DMs with people who want them in podcast form. And so I want to be able to get that out again. I'm going to start my own podcast. I'm going to record all my grow shows that I do on Instagram and just two birds in one stone. So I'm going to do that with this show as well, the Hydro Hustlers, because the people want the podcast. So we'll get that going for the next show. And I would like to propose, while we're all here, that we do this because it's going to be a monthly thing for now. That's what I can commit to. And as far as I know, you guys as well. But I'd like to stick to the same day sort of like every month. So because it's the first Wednesday in December, I'm proposing that we stick to the first Wednesday of each month.
Unless it's a holiday.
What's that?
Unless it's a holiday.
Yeah, totally. Like as we can change things as needed, but just for the most part, just so that we can have something to commit to and like it doesn't get out of hand and the people know when to find us generally. I mean, we don't want to be totally like with the man and stuff. We want to still be cool and chill, but with a bit of organization.
Nah, organization do that.
Yes. So I'm from Canada. I'm over here growing medically. I have one patient and I also grow medically for myself. So I'm allowed 50 plants, which I grow in my home in different bedrooms. I'm a bedroom farmer. I'm also a grow coach. I love to teach new women how to grow and other men too, but mostly I love teaching women. And I also work as a commercial professional grower and irrigation specialist over at Candry Cannabis in rural Alberta. And our stuff just hit the market last week. So it's very exciting for us. And if you're from Alberta or Saskatchewan, I believe, you can buy our products through Queen of Bud. That's the branding. So yay. It's Slurricane. Who doesn't want Slurricane? And Jack taught me something about my very own Slurricane at work, that the Slurricane pheno that we have is a Slurricane IX, which means that it's a Slurricane crossed with another Slurricane. So it's like a dank ass Slurricane.
Yep.
So go get it.
I got a quick question for you. Or a quick notice when you did your video the other day, or of your plant room the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Just one small fix you got to do.
What's that?
Out of your first tent where they're flowering already,
yeah,
your ventilation, you got that giant U in it coming back up to your fan. Push that U up out of
Giant
there.
which? Sorry?
You have a giant U in your duct.
Oh, a U. Okay,
So
tell me. Lift it
push
up.
that back up, tighten it up, tape it up so it's a straighter flow.
Oh, thanks, Casey.
Less tear restriction.
I had no idea.
I saw that and I went, got to get her to fix that.
I'm on it. Did you see me DIYing in there? I have both my tents now in the same room, and I have a dresser that separates them. And I'm like, I drilled in the two exhaust fans. They're like DIY to go out the window with stacked
I
pillows.
love it. And it was just, tighten those ducts up a little bit, and you'll be rocking.
I'm on it. Thank you for that. See, learning stuff.
Well, the less bends you have, the less twists you have, the less air restriction there is.
Which makes complete sense. And they're both loosey gooseys right now, so I'll fix it up. Good.
Great video.
Thank you. It was a little tour, VIP tour. Nice.
I have absolutely nothing in my flower room at the moment. I just cut everything down today for harvest, and it's getting restocked tomorrow. So tonight when I'm done here, I'll be cleaning till 3-4 o'clock in the morning, listening to podcasts.
Reset time. Listening to podcasts. See, podcasts are important.
I listened 10 hours of podcasts a day probably while doing things. I hardly watch TV anymore.
That's awesome. I love a podcast. What about you, Alki? You into podcasts?
If I'm into podcasts, yeah. I try to watch this show and Michigan Bro show and a few other shows, Nitpick mostly. Future Cannabis Project I also like. What else?
Oh, I got Jack in the house. Sorry.
I used to watch TML show also.
The fellow Michiganders up here, they do a great show.
So
sorry, Alki.
So I was gonna ask you guys, are you familiar with Silica and what product do you use?
Silicon?
Silica.
Oh, Silica. Yeah, duh. I used to use Armor C, which I'm not sure which type of silica that is. I don't have it handy, but it's through General Hydroponics. They don't make it anymore though.
I know it. I'm definitely sure that it is at 2.5% monosalicylic acid, just like the Aptus formula I have. And I think it's the same with power size. Well, you said Armor size, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
I think it's the same with the power size as well. If you said Armor size, they're all three, including my Aptus is all three 2.5% monosalicylic acid, which totally dominates the market. There are a few odd products here and there, but then there's mostly potassium silicate, which is
yes, I believe that's what it is, right? Potassium silicate.
It's not a lesser form of silicate if you're using, I think, if you're using soil. There's a different way it can be transformed in the medium. But yeah, monosalicylic acid is the preferred form of silica in any way. And has something to do with it's very, very hard to make a stable concentration of silica that doesn't polymerize, that doesn't turn into clumps or crystallizations of, and you can kind of judge your silica on that actually. If you have a clear looking water after you dissolve your silicate, and you don't see any residue or whatever, some oily patches, and you have pretty clean dissolved silica.
Do you guys wait a particular amount of time after you add the silica? Because I was always told that you add it first and then you wait about half hour before adding like your calcium and then the rest. I
mean, honestly, I've done it both ways.
Yeah. Do you think it's working now when you rush it in? I don't know.
With my particular product, I don't think that it makes a difference that is so noticeable that you absolutely have to. But that said, it's still like the common practice. I mean, because it's the right order. You gotta
Yeah, like
you gotta know that the order of adding silica is correct when you do it first.
yeah, and then calcium next, right?
Oh yeah, just your base notes in general. Unless you have another specific node that needs like a high pH. The special thing about silica is that silica has a solubility that kind of fluctuates around the 8-9 mark. It starts to climb rapidly, but since plant pH is between 5.5 and 7, you usually don't hit the optimal range. So that's why you add it in first, and then you have a little bit of,
Yeah, a lot of people I think use more than they need to of silica. And I stopped using it like week 2 or 3 of flower. Like I stopped. People are telling me that it's unnecessary because
I mean,
it
I'll
made
go up
sense
to
to kind of like build the cellular growth in veg to prepare for flower. And I know there's still cells being built, but after after the stretch, they're sort of just focused on bud action, right?
It's not so much for the cells. I do it for the cell wall strength, also for holding everything up. That's why I'll give it to week 4.5, and that's when I usually cut it.
Yeah, I'm always like trying new things. Like Alki said earlier, if I like get an idea or if I research something, I'll try it out just to see what my experience is. Because I used to just trust people. Like I'm still very trusting gal, like very gullible and things like that. But I would just like take people's advice and be like, throw it into my grow, go do it, and then go, like not, like, and now I'm like, even like master growers or like even my own master grower at work, like he tells me something, and it's not that I don't trust people, it's just that I don't trust everyone's information anymore. So I go and I research it, and it's like, yeah, okay, it lines up, it adds up, I'm fine.
Yeah, you got to experiment with some data coming back, because if you're not making your experiments where you actually have the numbers correct, then you can compare them, or you now I'm getting high. What was the what was the first part? Again, we're talking silica, right? What was I just saying? I fucking completely lost it. You were saying, what were you saying, Janine?
Yep.
About the silica.
I'm checking the chat. Sorry, I'm trying to be on top of both things.
He was just asking us what we use and what our thoughts on silica was. Right? That was.
Oh yeah, I said to Armor C, I gotta switch to something. I would like to use Dynagrow, but I can't get
Power SI, so that's what I have for a long time.
Works
good.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say was that if you experiment with silica, just know that maybe you can add 0.2 in the start, and maybe you can cut out the late flowering stage. I mean, like, because you can cheap a little on it. I mean, like, you don't have to do full doses every single watering and to the end of flower. You can skimp a little bit out in the end. Maybe the nutrient company won't tell you. I mean, but
they want you to run full strength all the way through everything, and sometimes, or a lot of the times, way too hot of a strength.
I mean, there will be some silica absorbed and available in the plant and the medium, anyways, if you stop doing a late flower. So you can definitely cut that out. But I mean, I just use it with every watering, and yeah. So, and from seedling too, it's my favorite additive of all, because you can always use it. I mean, if you're just the slightest trainer, or if you just like sturdy plants, then silica is for you, and most people do, right?
Silica is for you, and it's a pest patrol too. If you build resiliency in your plants, pests can't enter the cell walls if they're strong and sturdy.
And a healthier plant that's better.
Yield, quality, silica. Okay, I got a hot question, guys. I want to talk RO because I don't have a lot of experience using reverse osmosis. Yeah, I know what it stands for.
I have 7 filters from my well to where my plants get.
7 filters. Is it reverse osmosis or just filtered?
Nope, it's a full reverse. It's a bunch of pre-filters and then reverse osmosis.
Okay. When you've been feeding plants organics or nutrient or synthetics, like whatever, you're feeding the pro mix, and then you come to your last 2 weeks, right? When I would normally flush with tap water. If I were to use RO water, is that going to get a better flush? And do I need to do it for 2 weeks, or can it? Like, I don't want to. Do I only need to do it for 10 days? Because it's like so.
I'm gonna get that in
My
chat here.
ppm's like 400 here. You know.
Oh yeah, mine's
I'm not getting a proper flush because of that.
Exactly. No, flush away with our water. That's what I do. And yeah, I only flush 7 to 10 days. I let the plant tell me it's because they'll really start yelling around 5, 7.
That's what I want.
You know, and you can't let them yell too much or trimming becomes a real bitch.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying is that, like, I want to know, like, what's that number then? Like, it's not 2 weeks, I bet. And that 7 to 10 days sounds like exactly what my research said. So, and you pH it down to like 6.3, hey, from 7? Or do you just not worry at the end? Does it matter at the end?
I don't really worry.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. It's like at the end, it's stripping it out.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get it to uptake any nutrients. I'm trying to get it to self-cannibalize itself. You know, eat all the nutrients stored up.
And would you add anything like aminos, or like I use FloraClean from General Hydroponics, but like aminos break things down, so amino acids.
Sorry, what was that? I just got a sliver under my thumb.
You just use straight RO, or do you add like FloraClean or anything like that?
I don't.
Aminos, nothing. Just
Nothing.
fucking RO 7.0.
I'll overwater them up then also, just to wash everything out real good.
Yeah, and that's what I think too. Like when I do a flush at home, I flush runoff, like 15% runoff or at least, and then let them dry out a bit, and then boom, flush them again, get it all out.
Exactly, get it out. That's what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
I mean,
I need to work on my ash, you know. So you're gonna help.
All you want, you know.
What do you think, Alki? What do you think about RO? Let's see what the chat's saying.
I haven't acquired one yet, but I plan to.
Yeah, I'm interested in trying it.
Yeah, I've always hustled with hard water, so I went from, I think I have 0.4 now.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's still pretty good. Like my hard water is 0.6.
Mine's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I end up feeding around 2.2 to 2.6 EC, depending on the strain. I mean, like.
That's hammering.
I mean, like, I admire the big gap there is between, like, if you have a Gorilla Glue, there's an enormous gap. If you go back and see my grow on Instagram from the blueberry, you will see that it's actually peaked at the 3.2 EC or something, and it doesn't look burned at all.
3.2 on blueberry?
Yeah, 6 plants blueberry, and they were all in recirculating tubs with no peroxide, nothing. I first started adding peroxide after, but yeah, I mean, that was the best grow I had ever, and I mean, it tanked through 2.7, 3.2 EC, and I know a guy in Cali who also hammers some of his strains with 3.2 EC. So it's definitely possible.
Wow.
And some strains are super hungry for PK, and others don't need anything at all. I mean, if you have an autoflower, you have something that's sensitive in general, like a landrace thing or a
Yeah.
sativa or something like that.
I find sativa dominant plants, in my experience, are super hungry for PK and flower. It's like they're sassy and veg and don't really need a lot of nutrients. And then as soon as flower hits, they just need food. CBD strains too that I run that tend to be, I guess, more sativa dominant, but I see a trend.
A trend. I'm missing it.
Yeah, the trend that sassy sativas, they love to eat in
Oh,
flower.
oh yeah, sativas love to eat.
Yeah.
Like I can get that high EC like you're talking about with sativas. I can push them to the max, and
that's why I'm surprised.
Indica's like, no.
I was surprised you said that with the blueberry. That's that's really high.
Yeah, and some can just handle it really well, I think.
Much more indica than blueberry.
Well, you could get a sativa dominant blueberry probably. Everything's a hybrid these days.
Or poly, and that's another rabbit.
Guys, what do you think about the article I shared with you earlier on the phytochrome and the suggestion to put it under more darkness before you enter flower? Do you think that could work? Do you think there's any logic in that?
I've always had my lights off for 24 hours before I flower. That's how I've always done it.
Okay.
For 15, 18 years, somewhere in there. That's how I've done it.
So that kind of aligns with that theory, but do you actually measure or see any difference in how quickly the pistils shoot?
I believe, off a cloned plant, something that's used to cloning. I mean, I'll start seeing pistils on some of my strains at day 4 or 5.
All right. Last time
I do notice when I'm running something from seed, the pistils usually take 10 to 14 days to show up. That's why I said by clone. I've been running a lot of seeds lately, just looking for new strains to add, and that's just something I've noticed.
Okay. So you would agree that there is a correlation between it sitting in the dark for an extended amount of time and then maybe having a little bit of extended time to shoot these pistils. Yeah.
I believe so, and that's what I was taught. So, I mean, whether it's bro science or not, that's the way I do it.
I'm letting mine currently, because I have my second set going into flower now, and they've been in the dark for they'll be, by tomorrow when I turn the lights on, it'll be 36 hours. And I find that it helps. And I've talked to you about this too, I think, Alfie. That
I think
it does speed up the transition. Like it does something that either triggers a stress response or it triggers the sexual enlightening of the plant.
It stays in the dark and it shoots some pistils, right?
Yeah, so I do it too for that reason.
I remember I mentioned you in a story where I put that Kill Bill, that alarm sound, and I just told you, pistols on day 2, I think it was.
Like crazy fast.
Yeah.
And my candida particularly, like my candida that I've been growing for 1.5 years, which is my CBD, that one can sometimes, when I first started flowering it, it would almost take 9 days to show one pistil. And since I've been putting it in the dark, it takes like 3 or 4 days. So it's still slower than the rest, but it's totally working.
I agree with that notion. I mean, it's not like we can all sit here and say 100% we have the results. I don't know. We've measured it. No, we haven't measured it, but I definitely see a correlation there too. I find it interesting that Casey has also been taught this. I also think that it makes perfect sense that kind of like some people also believe at the end of flower you should do it, and then it will have a little bit of extended time to maybe push some tricks or whatever people believe that this will do. But most people don't know about that trick with entering flowering. And I can tell you what you're supposed to do after you've done this. After you've had it 24, 36 hours, then you will be increasing pK very, very, very slightly as your pistils form. And then you will more or less see that the pistils will expand in relation to how much pK you add to it. And that's where you got to take great care not to burn the plant. And I'm still experimenting with that early pK supplementation. So I'm not
I've also
completely on that.
That first week of flower, I usually dial my nutrients back a little bit also, because I notice they aren't really eating until they start kicking them pistils and really start stretching.
Yeah, until they have some golf ball pistils going on, they're not that PK hungry. Do you use a bloom formula? Do you use one that actually has extra PK from the start of flower, or do you supplement it?
Ooh, the chat. Sorry, I'm gonna just go back to a couple of things that I wanted to just.
You didn't hear it?
The chat.
Oh, I heard everything.
Oh, okay.
No, I agree with everything you said too.
Cool.
So Mr. Manny D says harvest right after the dark cycle before the lights come on so the plant's metabolism doesn't reignite. But I believe that extended 36 hours of darkness is just bro science. And I would agree with Manny, although I do that 36 hours of darkness for whether it's bro science or not, I don't mind doing it. It doesn't really bother my timing. But yes, I agree about the chopping them in the dark. Before they have a chance to start photosynthesizing again. And basically how I understand it is that things go from the root zone, like at night, everything goes back down into the root zone. And then when the lights come on, the roots perk up, get what they need, and start shooting back up the plant. Or that's my layman's description.
I like doing it an hour or two after the lights go out.
Okay. So then they're all ready, settled.
They're all asleep. They're settled. I always find, if you do it right before the lights come on, they're starting to perk up. They're starting to wake up a little bit. I mean, sure, there's bro science, but.
Well, Spartan Grown is saying it's not bro science. He's had them tested, which that's what I wish I could have testing at home. So that access one day I hope will be at home so that I can do these kinds of experiments and say, guess what? I got science on my back, bro. One day.
One day.
But I got another thing. We're going to move on to something else because the chat, and I'm going to lose this because I have adult ADD and I don't want to lose this. I should definitely not be in charge of this.
You wanted to be.
Yeah, I am now. Okay, so people are talking about bud washing, and actually I have a YouTube video that leads people through a good tutorial on bud washing, because I do bud wash some of my buds if I need to, indoors and especially outdoors. So I know that's pretty controversial, because I do get the feedback from the comments on YouTube. They're always friendly, right? But yeah, bud washing. What do you think? Anyone else do it? No, you're old school. I knew you were going to say no.
I know a guy that does it, and I mean, like, I think it's fair. It's a fair way of treating your products. I mean, like, if you like doing that, then all the power to you.
You know what? One time I washed my buds outdoors and they're a dirt. I had already shook them out and like de-leafed, and like the buds went into the water, and I did the lemon juice baking soda thing that my dad taught me how to do. And there was a fucking dead wasp floated up to the top. Like, no, thank you. That's disgusting. So I bud washed to get the bugs out. And then also if I've sprayed anything right before flower, like, I know it doesn't get all the soap and stuff off, plus dog hair and shit. It gets that off too. And I don't think it affects the trichomes. I know Honey Casey's got something to say, but I just am very gentle doing it. I don't use freezing cold water or anything, and then you just hang them to dry. And sometimes I find that they actually dry in a more uniform fashion after they've all been wet.
So
it's not water soluble.
Part of my, oh yes, it is. Some of the terpenes are water soluble.
Okay, terpenes. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's that's the first problem there. And
Terpenes.
I'm big on terpenes, and it's
Yeah, I know. I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
But
and that's
outdoor weed, I don't know.
I don't go outdoor because of the bug issues. So
A wasp, dude.
that I found flies on mine indoors. Just a
Ew.
house fly will be in it. It's like, okay, see you, bud. Throw you away.
But I definitely don't do it most of the time anymore. I used to, but I don't see the need for it as much. I don't really spray neem or anything too close to flower anyways. And
Yep.
I've just gotten more dialed in and better at what I do. I don't need to wash this, but I'm pro washing if that's something that people want to know. Let's see what the chat says. Wash in hot water. That sounds not like a good idea.
Jack agrees with me. Thanks, Jack.
Testing for higher terps and cannabinoids. People still talking about the darkness. It's a very popular thing. Just a dead wasp. Yes, just a dead wasp. Jack Greenstock chimed in. He says he also does dark before chop. Not to go back too much. It saves on light. I think stress of light and throwing off cycle. Like Casey said, they do get ready for next light cycle. Someone wants to know if anyone does old school split the stalks before harvest. I've seen people do that. I've not done that.
I don't believe particularly in that.
I think it's just to invoke stress, right? Which you could do in different ways.
Yeah, I mean, there are way more effective ways of doing stress. I mean, some people also assume that that defoliating it will give more trichomes. I just think it's kind of like a soft idea. There's way more evidence in jasmonic acid and other things. I mean, so.
One more thing to add about the darkness, lastly, from Jack and Spartan. Cooler temps and no photosynthesizing final few days forces terps and cannabinoids up. And there's a fella in here, Tandoori Farm, who wants help with his russet mites. And he said, no, he cannot light his place on fire.
So I was looking at that one, wondering how to touch it the best way.
I don't know.
It's really tough. It's going to take a lot of product. Your best bet is get everything to clone size. That's easier to contain it. Throw everything that's adult up and start over at clone size. And I mean, you're talking a daily dip and 4 or 5 approved products for probably 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. It's going to be expensive because these products aren't cheap. That's why fire's better. If you try keeping adult plants with it, forget it. You'll never get rid of them. You basically have to knock everything down to clone size and go from there. Start with light alcohol wash, and you just have to feed them daily. I mean, the plants are going to damn near look dead after 3 weeks, but that's the only way I know of to get rid of them.
And is it true that they can like stow away in baseboards and things like that in your home? So
every year. I've heard they can be dormant for up to a year, so it's
sad.
I'm
sorry, dude. Good luck.
Me too. I apologize, but you know, anything that's big, it's too late.
We got Spartan saying russets if you're in veg, spray horticulture sulfur or oils like soft oil, cross. Still, you need to be in veg.
Yeah, if you're in flower and you've got them, you're not going to fix that.
Also, Jack made a good point. Check out Xanthanol's YouTube. He's on the other show, Growing with My Fellow Growers. Matthew. He's probably got some good content on about russet mites and everything else. I've learned the most from him about IPM.
Yeah, Matthew Gates is awesome. Anytime I have any IPM questions, I reach out to him or watch his videos.
Yeah, very popular YouTube here. Zenthanol is how you access him. Very, very kind man too, I must say. Like, not everyone out there is kind when you reach out to people. This dude gets tagged all day long and he'll respond to every single one. So yeah, he's a good guy. Weed burner. Hit them with a weed burner like we do for the chicken coops. JK, haha.
Yeah,
Bye-bye, mites.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've helped people with them, never had them personally. So,
You guys smoking on? I'm smoking on my super lemon haze that I grew myself and rehydrated with the new doobie. A doobie. It's like a little sugar bear, but for your weed.
what was that thing? Show that.
That's so neat. And you know what? I'm trying out sugar bear. Like, you know the thing you put in your brown sugar? My grandma called it a sugar bear. Anyways, it's just like a little piece of limestone or something, and you hydrate it in water for a couple minutes, like pat it down, and then you stick it in the brown sugar, and it rehydrates like dead brown sugar to beautiful new brown sugar. So the Doobie people, the people over at Doobie, shout out to Doobie. I don't know what their website is, but they're made in Calgary, which is my local closest city to me. So that's awesome. But literally, I hydrated the little thing in water. Took 2 minutes, then I dabbed it all down. I put my super lemon haze, was coming out at about 51% yesterday, and I have it in a big jar. And so I just stuck the doobie in the middle, and then I went back to check on it last night. It was already up to 55, and like checked it just to make sure that it wasn't doing anything moldy or anything like that, and it was fine. And then this morning I went in and checked it. It was all the way up to 59, and tonight it's at 62, which is the perfect RH for me. So big shout out to the doobie. DEWBIE. Go get your doobies. I actually won that as part of my I won a prize pack for winning the Hempfest Cup with my CBD. And well, I didn't win the cup. I won the category for CBD. Let's throw that out there. Cheers to the cup champion. But yeah, that was in my prize package, the little doobie. So I thought I would try it out. It's cool.
Interesting. Haven't heard of those before.
I'm smoking now. My rehydrated super lemon haze.
I'm trying some of the different phenos of apple sundae that I grew from Colorado. Is what I'm trying right now.
Very nice. What's the lineage on apple sundae? Is that Sunday Driver?
Yeah, I've got Sunday Driver. I just cut that down. It's hanging right now.
Nice. That's popular out there, SD. I don't see it much here, but I want my hands on it. I always see this stuff because most of my contacts are from the States. And so when I see you guys all growing this stuff first, I'm like, get me it.
It throws good weight.
Yeah, I'm all over it. Oh yeah, we got 4 plants. Yay, Cowtown. That's right. Sorry, trying to monitor the chat again. We got 42 people in the chat for being gone for 4 months and back at it. Good job, chat. Thank you. That means we must not be like clashing with another show. I guess the company Raw also makes them, and they call it Hydrostone. It's from terracotta. Yeah, I think that's what my bear is made of. Terracotta, not limestone.
Terracotta is a clay, right?
Yeah, I think so. Jack will let us know soon. Spartan Grown says to the russet mites, if you're in veg, leaf strip as many of the big fans off, then spray stuff oil cross or the sulfur, not both. They will burn your plants. Ooh, anyone want to talk about grafting? Someone brought up grafting. Alex Kinney. Anyone tried grafting? It's something that's on my bucket list that besides super cropping and breaking a branch off and then pretty much grafting, I think. That's my experience.
I've never done it personally. I don't have plants around long enough, I think, to have that actually work in a way for the genes to really commingle in a graft. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked into it that much. It's because I know when they graft grapes or whatnot, it takes a couple of years for that new graft or whatever to take hold. So is that the same for a cannabis plant? I'm not really sure on that.
From what I've seen, I've followed Light Addict online. I don't know if anyone follows Light Addict. He's like a creative genius. And he grafts, and it looks like it doesn't take long at all. He has a whole manual on grafting. But weed, I think just because in general it's like a faster growing plant, it makes sense to me that it would just graft and heal quicker.
I was just talking more for the new plant that you're trying to create from the graft.
Oh, like the benefits. The benefits, I see.
Yeah, there we
So
go.
probably like how long would you have to veg it for, you mean? Like, yeah, that's true. You have to let all that new growth.
Mold Vision in chat says he did it, but the buds tasted like the other branches. So it's
interesting. Ooh, Spartan Girl says they put the word out for us. So thanks again, Michigan Bros.
Yep. Those guys are great. And I think we want to do it for the genetics mix, but
someone wants to know about autoflowers. I talked all about autoflowers on my single ladies grow show yesterday. So if you're interested in learning more about like what breeders I use and things like that, you can definitely just go to my Instagram and check that out. I grow autoflowers every single time I grow.
You're a fan of the autos, Ed?
Yeah. I can quickly say for what reasons. My reasons are simply I like filler plants. I like a mystery box. As a kid, I liked reading the Choose Your Own Adventure and mystery packs. That's what an autoflower is. And if you stick to the good genetics, like Dutch Passion or Mandalorian genetics from our dude Full Duplex, you're going to get good autoflowers. But if you're just getting them from random people or just like breeders that just kind of got in the game 5 years ago, you might not get as stable as of genetics. I don't know. And 5 years ago, it's just the year I threw out there. I don't know how long it takes to get things stable. I'm not a breeder. But I love autoflowers. And the second reason is, I have a second reason, but I forgot it.
Yeah, I think
my weed's really dank, yo. Go watch my video. I talk about it on that.
I think people should give.
Go ahead, Alki.
I think people should give autos some credit. I mean, because if you are blatantly hating on autos, then you're just hating on outdoors. I mean, or hating on a brother or sister growing. I mean,
open-mindedness.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want that?
They've come a long way too. Like, they're not your old school autoflowers from back in the day. You know, like they're not just ruderellas.
No,
true. It's it's a different paradigm, right? I mean, you can use it anywhere. You can have it just take it out of the tent and that's it. I mean, with the light over it. So there's huge benefits to this.
Duplex, they've worked really hard to stabilize and create good high potency, good terp strains.
So the way I run my rooms, I really can't do autos. They don't really fit with the way I grow at the moment because I like having a harvest every 2 weeks. So I plan ahead, clone it, I'd have a schedule, a regimen, all that. So I don't really hate on autos. I don't have much experience. I've tried them a few times. They just don't currently fit with the way I grow right now.
Understandable. Ooh, I remembered my second reason. It's because the autoflowers have taught me more about growing marijuana than any other plant. And that's simply because they have been way less stable, way more sassy, way more needy, way more angry. So I've had to do way more research on like diagnosing their deficiencies or their hungriness or whatever it is that's going on. I've had to learn their cycle to do defoliation. I've had to learn when they're stressed out versus when they're fine. Like, it is the best teacher for beginners. Like, if I wouldn't say it's a beginner plant, but it teaches the best. So like, it's a plant that you need to read it. So if you want to learn how to read a plant, get an autoflower.
And they really teach you less is more.
Yes, and patience is key.
And then you can challenge yourself.
You want to know if you have what it takes to be a grower? Grow 10 autoflowers in a row.
And wait for them to be done and not cut them down.
And you know what? That's the other thing. They're 90 days seed to harvest, most of them. So that's my filler thing, right? You put them in like, oh, good. Oh, look, there's an autoflower ready. I'll smoke that. And they're delicious and nutritious.
And I mean, if you were to teach yourself a thing, then go and guess the week your plants are in. I mean, without even looking at the calendar or anything, go in there just like an auto.
Yeah.
Make your own judgment. And if you guess wrong, who cares? I mean, so make it kind of a challenge for yourself. And then you'll see that you will be way more precise and more accurate in nutrient application and more accurate in when you're defoliating or whatever you're doing to your plant, any modification.
Yeah, you experiment a little bit, like try one thing at a time with it, you know, like that's why I say do like 10 at once, cram them in there.
And to get back to defoliation and kind of elaborate on why I've developed the thought that the osmotic pressure is what plays a big role in it, is that I see many people who do it on a certain day where strains are very different. So if you can kind of recognize that stage and time it precisely, you can get the expected result. And when you are defoliating, I would advise anybody as a challenge to go, if you are about to pick a bunch of leaves, or if you are about to super crop every plant in the room or every branch, then go back and look at the anatomy and see what you've done, because you will learn so much by just looking at the anatomy.
Yeah, exactly. And the shape, you figure out the shape that way too.
Exactly. I figured that if you do continuous pruning, you will see that it makes kind of like an alternating pattern. So that's where I get my idea that when you defoliate or when you do it early and pick a leaf, you are kind of redirecting the branch off to the side. So you get a new bud. You get two, if you pick it from each side. I don't know if you've ever heard about the other way of topping a plant, that you can take both fan leaves off and then the osmotic pressure goes into the shoots.
I've never heard of that, but that's interesting.
Yeah, but that's how it works. And if you can challenge yourself to go in and see these patterns, then you will have a much better way of assessing if this will work for your situation.
At work, that makes me think of like when I train a new person how to prune, like we have mothers at work, so you have to prune them in a certain way, right? And just go in there and do things. So you teach people how to prune, but the really important part is that I always say to them, make sure you go back tomorrow and then the next day and see how it's growing back, so that you can see that this is the reason I've taught you to snip this one versus this one or this one or this one, and this is why you grab this one and you're clearing this out. And and then they can go back and you can see how it's being shaped, so that they become a better pruner because of that, because then they now know, well, if I snip this, it's going to look like this, and that's the shape we're going for, or this is how fast it grows back. Because that's the other thing, is that people, I think, are hesitant sometimes to snip or top. And when you're in a commercial setting, or if you have really great lights, even in my home, like I got to get them short sometimes, but you want them to remain healthy so they can go back and see that. And it's like a visual, and it just helps to teaching.
Yeah, you'll learn way faster if you look at the anatomy after you modify it than if you just apply different methods. I mean, like different days. And it's also, I mean, why would you defoliate something that doesn't fill the whole tent anyways? I mean, it doesn't make much sense unless you have a humidity issue or you're going for that multiplying of the shoots where you want a better fill.
That's the
I'm gonna
biggest
try
thing.
that topping technique. I'm gonna try that. Take the fan leaf off and see if that works.
I discussed this with another great grower called Root Base on Instagram, and I told him to remember to look when he's doing it on day 14 and check when you're coming to day like say day 30, because then you could still see through the pistils and everything, and you can clearly see the pattern that emerges after you have pulled some leaves.
Jack says too, they call it GML. Is that Grandmaster level? I don't know. Topping
GML
takes away their growth engines. So no fan leaf. So rest of branch catches up to the top. That makes sense. Someone's asking about topping autos. I just top my autoflowers. Yes, it's strategic, but yes.
And very early.
Yes, as early as possible. I like to take the 5th node if I can, but if it's an autoflower and it's say day 15, I'll take the 4th one. I'll go with what I got. That's what I did with one. They take more time to recover, which is the reason.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, if you have good vigor on an auto, you can do it even early. I mean, I've topped most of my autoflowers at 4 nodes, I mean, and they still grow very huge. So
I'm gonna test out this leaf pulling thing. People are like, what? The ponytail. I've seen the ponytail too. Ponytail your top to allow in light and lowers to catch up. I've seen this on autoflowers. That's a technique that one of my friends who grows primarily autoflowers uses, is the ponytail instead of topping. It causes less stress.
That's just tying them down, isn't it? The ponytail?
It's like you take the top part and you tie it loosely, and you don't leave it on all the time. He did it like a training session, so he'd do it for like half the time and then let it go, and then the other branches would catch up. And he had autoflowers, like this dude knew what to grow, like how to grow big ones. So it must have been a good. I never tried it, but I should. That's from Southern VT Grower. Everyone's agreeing. Top and train autos. Clone them. Whoa! Clone them. You can clone autoflowers, but they'll be the same age as the mother. So when the mother goes into flower, your little tiny clone will go into flower. So it does work, but you got to do like a micro crop, or like do like a bunch of little plants then, and you get all these nugs, I guess.
Yeah, that'll be about it. By the time they're good.
That's from experience, yes.
It's completely the same plant. You can do everything you can do to a photo. Yeah. You will just have a finite time before it flowers. So
yeah, so you better be fast at cloning.
Yeah, and get it up to health.
You better be healthy, yeah. But it's doable.
Not worth the trouble.
I take at 3 sometimes. Why do people wait 4 or 5? I wait for 4 or 5 nodes because they're stronger. I cut off the 1st and 2nd node, and I keep the 3rd and the 4th node, which is also in my video from yesterday. I did a live topping, and when I top the plants, I take the bottom 2 nodes. It gives it like not a main line, but then I can mainline it, or I can. Those are the stronger branches. As it goes up, the branches get stronger. And so if you wait even to take the 7th or 6th or whatever, you're going to get stronger branches, taller plants, but stronger.
Yeah, just count how many shoots I have. So if you're counting each node, then 2, 4, 6, and I'll top my auto. That's pretty fine for me. And sometimes the lowest shoot, I'll prune that right besides the cotyledons, because that's where usually there's a little higher gap than the other nodes. And yeah, so it's just way easier to get it flat if you take the 1st node and then let the next 3 become your 6 main lines.
Yeah. And someone put simply root establishment, which is basically a long drawn out explanation. But yes, very good point, Dan D. More root development, it'll react more easily to the stress and come back like the comeback queen.
Yeah. 3 nodes is a young plant.
Still a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I just topped all my babies. I think I have about 17 new seedlings. I'm doing a
Very
fun little pheno hunt on mimosa. And
Ooh.
very vigorous, actually, these mimosas. I don't know who the breeder is. I got them as a gift. And so they're actually doing the best. So they're strong and vigorous. But yeah, I topped everyone yesterday, sorry.
I've been doing some testing for Stray Fox Gardens on some new strains he's thinking about releasing to the market. Don't want to say which ones they are out of respect, but
Gotta keep some secrets.
that's fun. Yeah, if they work out right, they're gonna be some showstoppers on the plan on them. You never know though. You never know with breedings, and that's why you got to test your genetics before you release them to the public.
Yeah, exactly. I like testing. I test for friends, and it's fun. I don't test for everyone because I don't know your genetics. I test for my friends. It's too risky. I used to test for Tom, Dick, and Sally for free seeds or whatever, but now I just buy them or I test for my friends because of instability and like bag seed reasons, I suppose.
Yep. Yeah, you gotta trust who's running them plants. I got an example of that. Some people up here I know, think they know what they're doing, and went and crossed some old school blackberry kush from Oregon Kid to some self-pollinated Gage Green grape stomper, thinking they're going to come out with a great strain, and went and filled half a room with it with half a room of other stuff, and
oh no,
other issues. They have a room full of seeds.
Seeds! Yeah, that's exactly the reason, Casey.
Yep, you got to find them stable ones and go from there.
It's just too risky.
It is. It's very risky, and you got to know what you're doing. You can't just be a bone chucker.
Especially when you're growing for somebody else too, right? So there's like maybe I have one person, but one person relies on me.
Yeah, I mean,
can't go fucking up the weed.
Exactly. I have 5 people I take care of. My wife has 5 she takes care of. So if I go and fuck up, it's 10 people that are reliant on me, and that's a big fuck up.
Yeah. Alki?
Yeah, I'm just filling a bowl here.
I concur. Yeah.
I was thinking, is there other things that you'd like to do in the flowering cycle?
What's that?
Are there other rituals you like to do in the flowering cycle?
Oh, like the bro science stuff? Rituals? Is that the word? Rituals?
Not exactly, but more like
lady science,
if
nudie science.
If you have anything like, I mean, do you do a defoliation? If you do one, or do you?
I do defoliate.
Oh yeah, let's talk about defoliation. Okay, go.
I do it for air movement through my plants.
Yes, good.
That's why I do it. I believe more air movement, you're going to have less pest problems, less environmental problems, better airflow through the room.
Yeah, especially if you squeeze them in. I like to squeeze them in.
And that's just it. I like to squeeze them in, plants every 2 square feet, 2.5 square feet at the most. So
they like to touch.
So I get a great canopy, and I don't mind them intertwining.
Yeah, they're besties.
Yeah, I agree. I also defoliate for airflow and for, just a safe and healthy environment down there.
Yeah.
And I prefer bigger buds and fewer, less work. I mean, less trimming.
I believe when you have that root zone and get down in there, them pests don't have anywhere to hide. They
Yeah.
don't have that, but they like
Pests.
that dark shady areas.
IPM for pests and pathogens.
Yes, ma'am. That's why I always
The
wear
leaves
gloves.
sit on top of each other like this, and they build
No.
condensation.
They'll transpire between each other and you'll get wet spots. And then you'll get PM going if your temp gets too cold. Just
Oh my
like
gosh.
that.
Just like that. I know. And you know, powdery mildew, thankfully, I have not had it, but it's a bitch to get rid of, I hear. So no, thank you. I do everything I can to make sure it does not enter the building.
Almost as bad as russets.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
And you can taste when somebody has it in their weed too. Instantly.
Yeah, I know. It's just bad news. So, do you have times that you defoliate? Like I defoliate right before flower, probably after stretch, and then again a few weeks later. And then, like Alpi said, it helps with like the end, right? Like when you're gonna trim and you have 7,000 families versus you've taken care of it at these times, and now you don't have, you know, you only have 2,000.
First day of flower, I always go in, and that's when I hit them probably the hardest defoliation. Then I'll go in, depending on the plant and the strain, between day 14 to day 21, kind of along with like the 3 light guys a little bit, and do a little light stripping, just anything that's blocking bud sites. Go in and get those, otherwise I'll leave the rest of the leaves on at that point in time when it's grown back out. And then I'll do that again around week 5. Otherwise, that's about it. And of course, 2 days before I harvest, I go in and get every single family off.
Yeah, that's my final. The final defoliation.
Yep.
I just do one late in flower. I mean, when I can see they're just about to stop making leaves around week 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
So then I prune off, especially the bottoms, so they're nice and clean, and I leave at least maybe 2 or 3 fan leaves down one cola, and then I just take everything off, and then I can log in my humidity like that.
Yeah, DPD is another reason.
Yeah, it's just because if you don't have an exhaust out, or you don't have a large dehumidifier, then you can actually save a lot of money on just defoliating late flower.
Yeah. Or for me right now in wintertime, I have to leave a lot of the leaves that normally I would defoliate because our humidity is so low. So for me to dial my VPD in, I have to increase humidity and leave some of the leaves. Interesting. But yes, same thing. It's strategic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't just go in and I'm gonna take leaves off today for no reason. It's I plan too much. Everything's done on a certain day for a certain reason.
Yeah, it's also a lot of work if you do it too many times. I mean, especially if you're a big facility, then it suddenly becomes a low return. I mean, of time. So
I couldn't agree more.
you can spend an awful lot of time on defoliating a big room like that if you're doing it several times.
No, and imagine having 8 or 10 rooms, 12 rooms, 20 rooms. That's all you'll do for some people in bigger facilities. I'm sure you
Yeah,
see that.
it's different at home compared to at the facility. But
everything is regimented. And they have everything planned out a year ahead, I'm sure, at least a year ahead.
Yeah, like there's a lot more planning that goes into it compared to what I'm doing over here. Does he have to? Production is production. You need to dial it in and plan ahead.
Yep. Plan ahead. You know, you got to have your harvest every 2 weeks, or you got to have your, you got to have that schedule because you have
figure out what you want and then go off that. But One of the things I like about my work is that, yes, they do the planning piece, but they also, differently from other places I've worked at or been in doing tours and things like that, is they look at the trichomes like, and it's so simple and crazy, but like the first time I watched our harvest, you know, back a few months ago, I watched the master grower looking at the trichomes and I was like, nice. We have the same magnifier, but still, right? Like that's a cool thing because that's super important. So if the plant's not ready, they adjust the planning.
You know, and that's knowing your plants for your scheduling. You know, you learn which day roughly they're going to be done on for looking at
Yeah.
the cycle and scheduling it out correctly and scheduling your rooms correctly. Plants that finish like times, keeping them together in the same room. You know, you don't want one that goes 75 days and one that goes 58 days in the same.
No, I'm not even a big fan of mixing strains in one room. Like I'm more of a fan of having the same strain room to room. It's hard to divide big rooms into microclimates for plants. And I've watched that in different facilities. So that's my biggest adjustment is that if I had my own facility, I wouldn't do multi-strains unless it's a R&D situation or something like that. Even that, you don't get, you get compromised R&D when you put the strains together.
I couldn't agree more. And I mean, I'll go up to 2, 3, 4 strains. You know, I won't mix strains on a table. You know, you got your tables, every strain on that, or every plant on that table will be the same strain. And like I said, it's going to be research from every
plant. At least that.
So they like the same climates. They have similar schedules.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Then yes.
That's what I was trying to say. So
yeah.
That way I'll. But it's
brothers and sisters. No brothers though. No brothers. That'll fuck up your room.
Yeah, exactly. I was just
Ooh, there's some like light stuff here. We were talking a little bit about lights. Southern VT grower. Anyone else adjust the light cycle the last 2 weeks back to 18 and 6? I've never heard that actually. I've heard different things, but not that.
I've never heard that before. And no.
That would
is that a stress thing?
In my opinion. And stress the
yeah,
plant because you're changing
like
the lights.
You would revegetate it and you would get more foliage.
Yeah. I think by 2 weeks you'd be a lot of foliage growing back.
You talked about you were running 11-13.
Yep.
Yeah,
I 11 hours and 15 minutes on and, you know, almost up to 13 hours off. So
I heard sativas like that.
They do. That way you don't have anything impeding that, hey, if they get close to a 12-12 and they just don't want to trigger right away. And I mean, I'm saving 8,000 watts of power for an hour for.
Right. Alki made the best point, which is why waste electricity. Like I pay a lot for that here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and stressing by adjusting the light. I mean, so late in flower, that's where you can really lose.
Yeah, no, my flower lights have not changed on that timer. I think that timer's 7 years old. I haven't touched it. So
I need a new timer actually.
I probably should replace it. It's been a good one.
I'm going to propose we start winding down. I know we did get started a little bit late, but I have to work early in the morning and I still have to eat supper. And I just realized that it's 8:30. So I feel like it's a good time. If you guys don't mind, we tested it. It worked. We were disappointed because we thought it wasn't going to work. And then it worked. And we had highs and lows. So this has been a really great episode. I'm going to try to rename it. And I'm going to figure out how to do this stuff that Shane used to do with the titles and all that kind of stuff for the next time. So great first test. And a special shout out to Alki, who actually got the motivated this whole getting back on the air. So thanks, bud, like for your passion.
Well, I'm totally committed. So
yeah, and I appreciate
I'll be putting
that.
on some more ideas going forward, and also have great guests to come on.
Yes, we're gonna have guests. That's so exciting.
Yeah,
we'll have a square then, which will be cool. Jack was supposed to be our special producer tonight. I advertised that, and I probably got some people in from that. But he couldn't get it on his end due to some technology stuff. But he did join us in the chat, which is super awesome. Along with my old co-hosts from Growing with My Fellow Growers. We saw Spartan in there, American. Who else did we see in there? I'm just trying. I don't want to miss anyone, but I recognize so many names like Nasty. But special shout out to Jack.
Purple Thumb OG.
Yeah, like we so appreciate you guys, and just some general shout out to the Cheap Homegrown Nation. Again, I'm Miss Nudie Grows on Instagram. I teach people how to grow. I get paid to grow weed. It's cool. I do it for business and for fun. So. Cheerio.
They don't. I always wanted to ask. They don't have an issue with you doing it at home.
No, these people are amazing. We have an air shower.
That explains it. That explains it. Yep. Those air showers are pretty.
Oh, it's amazing. I dance it up in there in the morning. I'm just like having my air shower. That's awesome. Yeah. Thankfully, I'm a clean grower, so they're lucky about that too.
Yeah.
But over to you guys. Close out. Anyone you want to shout out? Anything you want to say before we go and eat?
Thank you to everyone. It's been a while. We'll see you the 6th of January if I was looking at my calendar correctly. Since we're wanting to plan ahead and do it the first Wednesday of every month now. So I look forward to that. Thank you to Newts. Thank you to Elke. It's been a lot of fun. Missed doing it and glad to be back on it. Look forward to the next one. Hopefully we'll be a little more streamlined and not so spur of the moment, but that's what makes this show fun.
Awesome.
So I got a seat of our plants, right? So
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot, everyone. I think it actually turned out a very great episode because we got a lot of different views on why and how we do what we do, especially the defoliation part, and also about I actually believe that the pistils are forming earlier if you do, but like I said, it's unconcluded, so try it and see.
Mm-hmm. Always try it. That's a good message.
Yeah, try stuff. I mean, what are you going to do? Learn something new? That's about it. So,
yeah,
thanks,
pay attention. Pay attention if you modify. Then you will learn a shit ton of new things in a short time. Thanks a lot to chat, and a really big shout out to Shane, who's still doing his own thing and getting back on his feet under the pandemic. So yeah, I definitely shout out Shane. Yeah, and Jack, thanks for hosting, Jack. Well, it's been a great evening, guys. I'm looking forward to the next time.
Hey, next month, my dudes.
Cheers, everyone.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the stream. So view, stop live stream.